Hi, Assalamualaikum. Can you hear me? Can anyone hear me?
Dengar.
Iqbal here. Do you want to test your ring?
Sure. All good?
Right, nice.
Right.
Hello, test 1, 2, 3. I just want to test 1, 2, 3. Okay, guys, quick checkup before we start. I just want to know if all Jupiter debaters are here.
Yes, we are.
And I just want to know if our invited juries are here too with us. Rafiq, Faiza, and Miss Ananya.
Hi, Shafiq is here, but the rest, I think they're still joining. I think they have a problem with their devices.
All right, now.
I'm here already.
Who is it? Is it Aiza or is it Hanania?
It's Aiza.
All right, so we're just waiting for Hanania to come and then the rest of the debaters. In the meantime, the participant can turn on their, you guys communicate.
Hello, Arcom. I think that Hanania is waiting on the waiting room to be accepted here. So I think you guys would want to check on that.
All right, Aiza. Can you give us a second, please? Thank you.
Right, sure, no worries.
Hi guys, quick checkup if team Saturn are here. So are you guys are here? And can I have all the participants from Saturn and Jupiter to turn on your cameras? All right, quick checkup again. Is Siti Hanania is here with us? Or Hanania. And Prof. Ifan, are you already with here, Prof?
Yes, I'm here.
We're waiting for the last jury, I believe, Miss Hanania. In the meantime, I would like to apologize on behalf of the committee if there is a little bit of the delay. in launching the debate as we are waiting for all the participants and the respective people to stay with us. I do see Siti Hanania here. I just want to check if you can hear me, Hanania.
Sorry, did someone mention my name?
Yeah, can you hear me, Hannah?
Yeah, but I
All right.
think my internet is a little bit weak, so can you give me just a few minutes?
All right, sure. Take your time, no rush. I think if it's fine with everyone, we shouldn't be any more delay. I'll start in 1 minute, 8:50 to be exact. All right, last check. I have Hanif Taqiyuddin here with us. Have you opened your camera, Hanif?
Hello, am I audible?
Yep, crystal.
All right. Assalamualaikum and good evening. I bid to the speaker.
I haven't started it. All right. There is. Okay. I'll start now. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And a very good morning, I bid to the honorable doctors, equitable educators, brilliant debaters from the government and the opposition side, and not to forget the supportive audience. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 6th annual Interbatch Debate Championship organized by the Diplomatic Exco of Medical Student Association, MESTA. On behalf of the organizing committee, we are pleased to welcome you. Before we start with our debate championship today, please kindly mute your speaker throughout the debate unless you are giving your speech or point of information POI. Only the moderator and the participating teams are allowed to turn on their camera throughout the debate. The juries are welcome to turn on their cameras after the debate has finished to comment on the debate by the participating teams. Welcome to the grand final round of the Interbatch Debate Championship. I am Daniel Azizi bin Mohammed Yusuf, the chairperson, and Ahmad Iqbal Hakim bin Sulaiman, the timekeeper for today. We are very delighted to announce the motion for today, which is this House believes that online classes should be continued in the medical school curriculum. I'm sure that everyone present here is excited for the arguments to begin. But before that, it gives me a great pleasure to introduce members of both benches. Gloriously representing Year 2, taking the role as the government side, is the planet that their first astronomers thought the ring was moon, Saturn. Taking the role as the Prime Minister is Mr. Muhammad Hanif Taqiyuddin bin Hisham as the first speaker. The second Minister is Ms. Nur Ain Solihah binti Muhammad Nasri as the second speaker. And the third Minister is Mr. Muhammad Ahmadiniyah bin Saiful Bahri as the third speaker. And Ms. Nurhana Khalila bin Muhammad Fauzi as the reserve speaker. For the reference, Team Saturn victorious against Team Mars in the second round. On the other side of the Microsoft teams, proudly representing Year 1, taking the role as the opposition team, is the team that the cloud is thick as 50 kilometers, Jupiter. Taking the role as the Prime Minister is Ms. Nur Adriana Natasha bin Muhammad Adlan as the first speaker. Second, the Ms. Faradina Arisha binti Azizur Rahman as the second speaker. And the third speaker is Ms. Nur Amalina Sabrina binti Abdul Muttalib. And Ms. Aunisha Mimi bin Muhammad Aznan as the reserve speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, for your reference, Team Jupiter have won against Team Mars in the first round, defeated Team Uranus in the second round, and won against Team Jupiter in the third round. With all records collected, it all comes down to this very moment. As we move towards the launch of the debate, I would like to introduce our lineup of wise adjudicators for this finals 6th annual Interbatch Debate Championship. There are 3 respected individuals who will adjudicate these competitions, which are invited from the Utimara Debating Society. We are fortunate to be judged by this panel as they have accomplished a plethora of achievement throughout the years of their debating. The first jury is Mr. Muhammad Shafiq bin Abdul Razak. Mr. Shafiq was a semi-finalist judge at the debate Diraja English category 2021. He was also a grand final judge, as well as being awarded as the 3rd best judge at Malaysian National School Debate Championship 2021. The second jury here with us is Ms. Azia Atira binti Daud. Ms. Aizah was a semi-finalist of Malaysia British Parliamentary 2021, and she was also the first runner-up of the UTAR BRS by Debate 2021. Now completing the row is Ms. Siti Hanania binti Abdul Jalil. Ms. Hanania was a champion for the novice category IIUM Debate Open 2022, and she was also the final best speaker for the novice category in the same championship. Now, I would like to state the rules and regulation for today's debate. The time allocated for the first speaker of the government team is 7 minutes. The timekeeper will ring the bell once. First minute, which signals that the point of information are allowed to be given from the opposing team. The bell will be ringing again at the 6th minute to signal the end of chances for POI to be given. The timekeeper will be ringing the bell twice at the end of the 7th minute, indicating that the time is up for the speaker, and the speaker should do his or her closing speech immediately. Any POI given before the 1st or after the 6th minute should be ignored. Please do keep in mind that an extra 1 minute is given for the speaker if the speaker has a poor internet connection during the speech, which the timekeeper will take into account that extra time. For the rest of the speaker, the time allocated for them to deliver their speech is 6 minutes. The bell will be ringing again once, the 1st and the 5th minute to signal that the duration of POI can only be delivered. Any POI given before the 1st or after the 5th minute should be ignored. The timekeeper will be ringing the bell twice at the end of the 6 minutes to indicate that the time for the speakers to deliver their speech, and they should do their closing speech immediately. The speaker will be penalized if the time taken exceeds the allocated time. Again, an extra 1 minute is given for the speaker if the speaker has a poor internet connection during the speech, which the timekeeper will take into account the extra time. Next, I'll briefly declare the roles of debaters. The first speakers of the government and the opposition team needs to define the motion and state their stand, as well as introducing an idea or more to support or against the motion. The first speaker from the opposition also needs to rebut the idea given by the first speaker of the government team. The second speaker from the government and the opposition team needs to convey 2 or more ideas to support or oppose to this motion. In addition, the second speaker of the government teams need to rebut the idea given by the first speaker of the opposition, while the second speaker of the opposition team needs to rebut the ideas given by the second speaker of the government team. The third speaker need not to introduce new ideas and need to rebut all the ideas given by the first, second, and the third speaker of the team. For the reply speech, the time allocated to prepare is 2 minutes, whereas to present the reply speech is 3 minutes. The first or the second speaker of the opposition team should present his or her reply speech first, followed by the first or the second speaker from the government team. The speaker cannot introduce new ideas and will need to summarize their argument and reaffirm their stand regarding today's motion. The third speakers are not allowed to present the reply speech. The timekeeper will ring the bell once, at the second minute as a last minute warning, and it will ring the bell twice to signal the end of the debate. Are the participants clear of the rules and regulations? As the rules and regulations are fully understood, I would like to call upon the first speaker of the government team, Mr. Hanif Takuddin bin Hisham, to open the case for the government. The floor is yours.
Am I audible? Assalamualaikum and good evening. I bid to the speaker, honorable judges, trustworthy timekeeper, and not to forget, ladies and gentlemen, members of the floor. The topic for debate today is this House believes that the online classes should be continued in the medical school curriculum. And we from government strongly agree with this proposal. We from the government believe that online classes should be continued in medical school curriculum, and we will enlighten the House on why we agree with this motion. Brian Tracy once said, "Be clear about your goal, but be flexible about the process of achieving it." We will start the discussion with the definition of this motion. As the motion for today is this House believes that the online classes should be continued in the medical school curriculum. There are two important key points that need to be highlighted, which are online classes and medical school curriculum. So the first key point is online classes. Online classes is a course conducted over the internet. They are generally conducted through a learning management system in which students can view their course syllabus and academic progress, as well as communicate with their fellow students and their course instructor via the internet or any platform. The medical school curriculum is being defined by a tertiary education that comprises 4 to 5 years that are divided into two phases, which are preclinical years, that is for the first 2 years of medical school, and clinical years as for the remaining years in medical school. We from the government will stand for this motion under the parameters of continuing online classes only for lectures and specifically for preclinical year students, and for practical and tutorial session will be conducted physically. Before we go further, I would like to introduce the government lineups. Tonight, as the first speaker of the government, I will be talking to you about benefits of having online classes for lectures and specifically for preclinical students, which is flexibility. Next, the government will be followed by our second speaker. They will be discussing another 3 concrete reasons which why we believe online classes should be continued in the medical school curriculum, which are accessibility features of online classes, engagement of students and lecturers, and lastly, enhance the usage of teaching resources. These are the 3 concrete reasons why we believe online classes should be continued in the medical school curriculum. Lastly, from the government, we have our third speaker that will rebut and sum up the case on why the opposition should agree with the proposal and be with the government for a brighter future for medical school curriculum. Members of the floor, so now I will proceed with my first point that will enlighten the House on why we believe that online classes should be continued under the parameter that we already highlighted before. The first point is flexibility. As we all know, during the period of COVID-19 pandemic, Malaysia already went through changes in many aspects like economy, politics, and education. I believe that all of us as a student know and experience in online classes, as it already been 2 years since pandemic started. And surprisingly, until now, there are still medical school in Malaysia that conduct their lectures online, even if the students are already on campus, while the other classes will be conducted physically, as for example, practical and also tutorial. So ladies and gentlemen, knowing the fact of the current status quo, Why is there a medical school that is implementing this method? Of course, there are benefits of this method. As I mentioned before, we from government believe that this method is a significant move as it promotes flexibility towards student. By studying online, you can choose your own learning environment that work best for you, that work best for your needs. Be it in your bedroom, your study room, the cafe across the street, or your local gym, listening to instructors lecture, podcast, or as run on the treadmill. So isn't it awesome by implementing this idea? Taking on lecture online course also mean that you don't have to commute to class, which means that less time spent on the bus and more study time sitting on your couch or your bed. And the sound of crackling fireplace in the background. You no longer have to worry about driving in snowstorm and missing any important classes. And this mechanism benefits not only for students, but also lecturers, as they can conduct anywhere and wherever they are. Additionally to the mechanism suggested by the government, by having practical and tutorial as physical classes, this means that there are still continuous engagement between student and lecturers, as this is important and will be discussed by my second speaker. Therefore, ladies and gentlemen, it is clear that the method suggested by the government, in which we will continue online classes for only lectures specifically for preclinical students, is a significant move, and we already provide, and this clearly gives benefit not only to students but also lecturers themselves. As Brian Tracy once said, flexibility is the key to stability. Before I end my speech tonight, I would like to recap my solid point tonight, which is flexibility, as it is a very important point, ladies and gentlemen. Now, the question is why it is important, ladies and gentlemen, as it gives comfort not only to students, but also lecturers, as this will promote a better learning ecosystem. To emphasize the mechanism suggested by the government, we suggest that online classes should be continued only for online classes, specifically for preclinical students, as we believe that this is the preparation for future medical student and future medical school curriculum. As Albert Hubbard once said, the best preparation for tomorrow is doing the best today. Therefore, we are trying to do our best by suggesting this mechanism, and I believe, and we believe from the government, this is the best mechanism and the most significant move in this current status quo. Therefore, we from the government, working and hoping for a brighter future for medical school curriculum. With that, I rest my case. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, the first speaker of the government team. Now, to open the case for the opposition bench, I would like to call upon the first speaker of the opposition team to deliver her speech.
Am I audible? Being a doctor is not easy, and so do the learning process. To produce a competent doctors and to serve the best healthcare services for the public, a conducive learning environment should be delivered. Before that, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good evening to the speakers, timekeepers, judges, opposition, government, and members of the floor. Today, as the first speaker from the opposition team, we strongly disagree with this final motion. This House believes that online classes should be continued in the medical school curriculum. Today, the first speaker from the government team did not define the continued in this motion. So today, I would love to define this continued. So this continued means that in a position where the post-COVID-19 pandemic phase, in which this is why we do these online classes, so that the education can still go on even though we are on the pandemic phase. So, next. But we don't agree with the parameters set up by the government today. The scope given by the government today is too narrow, and it wouldn't make sense for the students to go to the campus just for online classes and for tutorials and practicals, but the lectures is online. Today, we are going to enlighten the law by widening the scope of the debate and talk about online classes in general. Wait, sir. So the government burden of proof today is to prove to all of us that these online classes will provide benefits not just in the short run, but also in the long run. And today, we, the opposition team, will show to all of you, will prove you that online classes within the medical school curriculum will impede the best of the students' abilities to learn and apply to the medical school curriculum. We will prove this in our argument today. Ladies and gentlemen, today we are not saying that online classes are totally bad. We are saying that at the end of the day, no matter how much benefits it will give to the students in the short run, it will not provide the student with the full experience of medical school, and this will not help the production of future competent doctors. Our arguments today are about the online classes as a whole. Before that, yes, one? Okay, no POI. All right. So first we go through rebuttals. Just now the first speaker from the government team talk about flexibility and talk about own learning environment. Ladies and gentlemen, do we know that this will lead to procrastinations, laziness, tardiness, all the qualities that we don't want as a doctor, in a doctor? Because nowadays we are trying to produce a competent doctor and a conducive learning environment for the doctor so that we can serve the best healthcare services for the public. Done with the rebuttals. So today we, the opposition team, came out with 3 key points to support our arguments today. The first one is about environment. Second one, spoon feeding dependency, and also the technical limitations. Firstly, I start out with the environment. Universities nowadays started the online classes for medical schools due to the COVID-19 pandemic outbreaks to promote social distancing and also to limit the spread of the virus. All the sessions, whether the lectures, the problem-based learning, or all of the practicals are conducted online. By having these online classes, it will create a sense of social isolations towards the students. Students will be lack of social ties and also interaction face-to-face. According to AECC Globals, medicine is one of the toughest courses in the world, and dealing this alone is not enough. We could say that we can use all these technologies to video call with our friends and share our problems via online, but we have to accept the fact that it's not the same. In face-to-face classes, we have our friends giving moral support and being the same boat as we are. This will give the students some sort of motivation to study. Different when we are at home, alone, we still have a good moral support from our family, but it won't feel the same as they are not going through what we are going through right now. But dealing with the online classes, one of the toughest courses in the world alone, students will create a social isolation in which it can bring the negative effects on the loneliness, anxiety, and sometimes depression. Not only can affect the mental health, but also it can affect our physical health also, in which we can lead to cognitive decline, heart disease, and also weaken immune system. Because there's one study have found that loneliness can increase about 30% of the chances to get coronary heart disease. This social isolation will lead to unbalanced self-discipline towards studies due to too much flexibility, just like what have the first speaker said from the government team, given from the online classes. Online classes in which the lecture is conducted online and giving pre-recorded lectures beforehand. This, of course, can give the student time and ability to time focus on specific subject, but in a long run, it will lead to last-minute study technique in which can affect the academic achievements. Today, we, the opposition team, want to show to all of you how these online classes will cause self-isolation and then affect your mental and also your physical health, and that in the long run, it will affect your academic achievements and thus increase the risk of incompetent doctors. Because we know, at the end of the day, doctors are the one who saves lives. And to save one, competency is needed. That's all from me. I'll rest my case.
Thank you, the first speaker of the opposition team. Now, I would like to call upon the second speaker of the government team to deliver her speech.
Hello, Assalamualaikum semua. Am I audible? Alright, I will start now. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh to my respected judges and also the speakers of the opposition team. Today, I will report on some of what the first opposition speaker has said, and then I will present 3 points that I will tell you why hybrid is better than full offline classes. So, first of all, I want to rebut something that I find quite ironic. I don't think that the opposition team is understanding our parameters. As the first government has said, we are only making it online for the mass lectures, not for the PBLs and not for the group discussions and also for practicals. So your point is that you are saying that this is going to cause inflexibility, but instead, if we make this hybrid, this actually creates a discipline for the students, because for instance, on Tuesday we are given recorded lectures upon a practical that we are going to learn on the next day, which is Wednesday. So that means student will have no choice but to study and will adhere to the time given within the day to learn about the specific practical that they're going to learn the next day. So in a way, I don't think that you actually no thank you. In a way, actually you do not really understand our parameters. And the other thing I would like to point is that your definition is incorrect. You're saying that we are in a pandemic. I'm sorry, sister. We are in an endemic. All right. And the second thing that I find something particularly peculiar is that you are telling us that this is going to enable us to get spoon feeding. This is going to encourage spoon feeding between the lecturers and the students. I'm sorry to say this, but there are a lot of techniques besides pre-recorded lectures to teach students online. Do you ever heard about Padlet, an app called Padlet, Wakelet, or even quizzes? This is going to actually stimulate students to enable interaction between students and lecturers. This is going to make active interaction, not just listening to the lecturers, feeling bored or sleepy. So that's all from me for my rebuttal. So I will go to my first point, which is accessibility. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to imagine if we make our master lectures online, this can open to a gate of new possibilities of not only learning lectures from doctors locally, but also internationally. Have you ever heard of the word knowledge without borders? Yes, that's what I mean. So for instance, if we want to give a lecture for a certain disease to our medical students, we don't only need to invite our local lecturers, but we can also try to invite international lecturers who has more and deeper understanding on that particular disease to the students. So that means that the students will actually optimize and gain a lot of in-depth knowledge regarding to that disease, and they don't only bring that knowledge to their exams, but they will bring their knowledge outside of the medical school. Imagine a medical student graduate with a really in-depth knowledge about a particular disease. That will be a really powerful doctor, don't you think? And also next, accessibility. I would like to talk accessibility in the form of pre-recorded lectures. So of course, maybe there are some students who have problems with internet problems, etc. So in other words, there is also another alternative, which is to provide pre-recorded lectures beforehand and use the allocated time to make students to ask questions to the lecturer so that they can improve their understanding and clear the misunderstanding regarding to the lectures given. So, of course, this is actually giving a good advantage to two different students. Do you want to know what it is? Slow learners and also nocturnal students. Nocturnal students in the definition of students. No, nocturnal students in the definition of students who learn optimally at night instead of in the day. So imagine if you want to bring all the students, 200 students, okay, for instance, 200 students in a lecture. I don't think 200 students are going to be capable of learning in the daytime, some of them might be sleeping because they aren't going to work optimally. And also there are some slow learners who need to listen twice so that they can get full understanding regarding to the lecture. And to my second point, I would like to talk about maintaining engagement. Some people think that if we are going to make it online mass lectures, there is not going to be any interaction between the students and the lecturers. But sorry, actually we can prove that it can be more than that. We can actually maintain the engagement by making the online mass lectures turning into an interactive session, as in we can use the online or the internet to make quizzes or to make Padlets so that they can ask the questions. So last but not least, I would like to talk about my third point, which is the enhanced using of learning resources. So of course, using pre-recorded lectures is learning resources. So students will listen, and maybe if they have anything that they want to ask to the lecturers, they can ask them, they can bring the questions to the lecturers during the physical SGS or small group session and during physical, practical and physical PBL. I'm emphasizing physical because our government is actually offering only online for the mass lectures, not for PBL, not for small group sessions and not for practical. We are going to make it online so we can actually make sure that these students, even though they have the flexibility needed to listen to the mass lectures regarding to the lecture, they can actually have their practicality and hands-on regarding to some practicals that need in-depth understanding regarding to the thing. So in conclusion, I would like to re-emphasize my 3 points, which is accessibility. This can increase accessibility to all types of students, good students, normal students, daytime students, nocturnal students, and slow learners. 2, it can maintain engagement in between the lecturer and students in a unique way. And last but not least, this can enhance use of learning resources in many different ways. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum.
Thank you, the second speaker of the government team. Now, it is time to listen to the second speaker of the opposition team to deliver her speech.
Am I audible? Ladies and gentlemen, in order for the debate to progress, there has to be a clash. Unfortunately, government has been trying to debate in a bubble and not engage with any of my previous speakers' point. With that, I would like to bid Assalamualaikum to the honorable judges, members of the opposing team, and audience. Let me start off by rebutting the ideas given by the second speaker of the opposing team and present to you our 2 main points, which are spoon-feeding dependence and technical limitation. I would like to rebut the points that were given by the second speaker, saying that my first speaker did not understand the parameters. In my defense, I understood her well enough, and I think that all of you heard that she actually mentioned about math lectures and not just about tutorials and practicals. We understand that tutorials and practicals need to be face-to-face, but don't you think math lectures also has to be face-to-face? Have you not seen how much of the drop that has been in our academics ever since we had online classes? In my defense, ever since we've seen our seniors and even ourselves in online classes, we have not been able to talk to our lecturers and communicate with our friends, even when we are in online classes. When we are in online classes, we can't talk to our lecturers in a more natural way. We would have to raise our hand, we would have to open our mic, and those things are actually not good for those who are introvert. And even when you say they are slow learners, people who are slow learners aren't able to catch up in pre-recorded lectures because those explanation was given 2 days before, but were not given on the spot. So something like that, they would have to reach out through WhatsApp and such things to the lecturers instead of actually staying back during classes to actually talk to the lecturers. Enough with the rebut. Also, I have to also say that online forums are not part of the curriculum of medical school. Online forum can be done outside of the curriculum of the medical school, something that can be done on Saturdays, on weekends. It's not something that you can actually include in the medical school curriculum. Something like that can also be done physically. If you want to put all the students in our campus, might as well do physical lectures because it's something that has been done for centuries. For something like online classes is something that we actually do. Our lecturers actually implemented, all of the lecturers in this world actually implemented for the use of COVID, not for the use of its effectiveness. It's not effective because even our lecturers would like to re-implement these lectures. All of our other unis, UNIMAS and UPM and other unis, even UITM itself, are actually re-implementing physical classes. So now let's get into my 2 points. My 2 points are spoon feeding dependence and technical limitation. So, ladies and gentlemen,
POI.
may I ask you, can I continue? Ladies and gentlemen, may I ask you this question? Are we too ignorant to see that nowadays, everything is just one click away? Ever since lockdown was implemented in Malaysia on 18th of March, the medical school curriculum has been fully utilizing the internet for online classes and other activities as well. Though it was the safest choice at that moment, it was not making the most out of the medical program that the government has subsidized heavily for its students in hope to produce more advanced, competent doctors in the future. Yes?
POI. Okay, may I ask? I would.
All right, I will continue. We can take this as an example. We all know that the medical program provides tutorial classes for students to attend. However, most of the time, we are only preparing for the questions that are being asked and not more than that. And mainly, that is due to the fact that we know whatever spontaneous question asked by our lecturers that come shooting our way, the answers can easily be found on the internet. This does not happen in face-to-face classes because we are supposed to give our ears and eyes and mouth during those discussions, meaning that our ears are supposed to hear the question, our eyes are supposed to be looking at our lecturer, and our mouth are supposed to be giving out the answers confidently. This is how we separate ourselves from underprepared students and well-prepared students. In online classes, it is almost impossible to differentiate these imposters, but like every lie, the truth will always show. How would you expect this underprepared student to be able to handle real-life situation where the patient or guardian will ask some crucial and urgent questions? This is where the critical thinking are most important because we want to show that those 5 years did not go to waste and that every doctor has at least one trait that is fixed, is that we are reliable source of information. If we keep continuing with online classes, we could be facing this problem sooner or later, where Googling has become the norm in the most respected field. Then my next point is regarding technical limitation. During online classes, students will turn off their cameras and microphone the whole entire period, leaving the lecturers talking with no interaction with the audience. Even if we implement regulation for them to always turn on their cameras, some students also face internet problems and many more reasons that eventually make it impossible to follow through. The lecturers would also feel less motivated to teach in an unenthusiastic crowd, which also reduces the efficacy of how lessons can be delivered in compared to face-to-face classes, where they are able to read students' body language and their posture and their raw facial expression to evaluate whether or not they are able to grasp the topic. Another critical technical limitation is how there will be a gap between the academic achievements of those fortunate and less fortunate. Nowadays, we are all very well aware that there are many Wi-Fi plans packaged for different people to indulge in, but not many have the choice. People with better Wi-Fi connection will not face problems such as lagging and being left behind in classes. Instead, there are these bonus points where they will be more recognized among the lecturers, allowing many more benefits. However, the less fortunate can only fend for themselves by getting by with recorded lectures, having to face financial problems due to spending so much on data, and soon they will only be looked by lecturers as though they do not try. Hence, why face-to-face lectures are very, very important to standardize the learning process so that we give every chance to those who can be incredibly competent in this field but are less fortunate. That is all for me. Thank you.
Thank you, the second speaker of the opposition team. The debate is getting more heated. Now, I would like to call upon the third speaker of the government team to deliver his speech. I believe we can hear you, Amar.
I'm sorry, the third speaker of the government has some technical issues. Can you give us a minute?
Sure, sir.
Hello, am I audible? Okay, sorry for the technical issues. Okay, so Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. A very good evening. Okay, so welcome to the final debate. The motion for tonight is this house believes that online classes should be continued in the medical school curriculum. So before I move on into my in fortifying my previous speaker's point, I will first start off my speech by rebutting the points mentioned, the arising concerns mentioned by side opposition. So the opposition mentioned about something by continuing online classes, it will promote social isolation. But let me just clarify here now is that our mechanism is that we are currently implementing the hybrid learning system, which is only the mass lectures are carried out online, not the laboratories, not the practicals, not about the PBLs. So basically, when we're having hybrid learning, we're in campus. It's just the lectures are online. We can even have physical group studies if we manage our time well. So basically, for me, it doesn't make sense on how would you have social isolation if we're living the same area. It's just
POI?
the idea that you need to grasp. Sorry, the idea that you need to the side opposition need to grasp is that we're only maintaining online mass lectures, not about the PBLs, not about the practical. So basically, we're all living inside the same area. And another one, they mentioned about spoon feeding. But let me just ask: have side opposition ever heard about module guides? Basically, our lecturers, specifically as we can see in Sungai Buloh, all of our doctors have given us a tons of sources, tons of citations, tons of article regarding to this to our particular medical topics. Why? Because without a doubt, our medical field is without a doubt a vast ocean of knowledge. So we need our lecturers to narrow it down. So this the function of module guides in the first place. So basically, technically, if we're having both online and offline class, it doesn't change the fact that we need to be given a specific guideline in order for us to manage our time, manage our resources in order for us to particularly understand the topic given by our lecturers. So this is a function of module guides. So basically, it doesn't make any sense that online classes promote spoon feeding. And also, if I'm not mistaken, they also mentioned about slow learners have a hard time catching up. So this is why we're implementing online classes so that these slow learners, we can look up on the pre-recorded lectures. So they can pause, they can take time to digest the information that they've learned, and they can rewatch it again. So this is our main priority, is to enable that these slow learners, particularly these specific groups of
POI?
students, in order for them to understand clearer regarding to the topic. Sorry. And also to mention, to fortify my previous speaker's point, there are numerous benefits to online learning in the first place. It gives additional adaptability and advances self-guided learning at the solace of our own homes. It permits using time productively as students get additional time close by to investigate a wide ocean of information that is accessible to them at the snap of a catch. It advances solid joint effort between colleagues and sets you up for being a sure speaker. Online learning compels you to foster your basic deduction abilities in manners that you probably wouldn't have polished in a physical in-person homeroom setting. It likewise gives students the much expected opportunity to enhance their specialized ability where they see how to work the framework all more securely. So basically, it promotes independent learning. Some people believe that conventional learning in a physical location is the most natural and effective way to connect. However, this is not always the case. Basically, if we're talking about offline classes, everyone is sitting center and in front. Everyone is sitting everywhere beside you. However, this is not always the case. There are a few students who are too afraid to ask questions in front of the whole class. If we implement the live lectures, can now initiate a live private conversation with their instructor. If a student is uncomfortable with projecting with the idea of projecting towards the whole class, they can mute their microphone or turn off their camera while still participating in the lesson. So from side opposition, they also mentioned about it is not effective. But let me just give you a statistics. Have you ever heard of Ivy League schools in America? Okay, so basically the statistic here is that the 8 Ivy League schools have already adopted online education prior to the pandemic. One of the fascinating facts about online classes is that they have been popular across prestigious schools such as Harvard. If you can look it up in the internet, they also provide you with some of the free online courses regarding to the medical field. So basically, the Ivy League schools have already implemented online learning regarding to mass lectures even before the pandemic. So the idea of being not effective is completely out of this debate. Basically, they have proven to do so. So why can't we? Although maybe there's a bit of the technical limitation, but however, we can manage this by restructuring the system again. So basically, online learning is the way to go. So that's all for me. Thank you.
Thank you, the third speaker of the government team. Now I would like to call upon the third speaker of the opposition team to deliver her speech.
Am I audible? Can you guys hear me? All right. I'll begin my speech in 3, 2, 1. Panel, we agree that every success must start with a dream, better yet a vision. A vision my dearest rivals inside government seem to lack. Make no mistake that this is a debate for the betterment of not just future doctors, but the healthcare field as a whole. Their manifestos to continue the current virtual learning style is simply wishful thinking if they believe that it can help churn out reliable and competent doctors. Before I proceed, Assalamualaikum and a good day. I bid to the experienced panel of educators, precise timekeeper, formidable opponents inside government, worthy comrades inside opposition, and members of the floor. Here is how I'm going to structure my speech today. Firstly, I'm going to forward several rebuttals to the speakers inside government, contentions and responses included. Next, I will make a comparative analysis on the cases brought by both sides of the House and tell you why today we have understood the debate better. And then I will show you which paradigm or world is better for all medical students, and then I will reaffirm our stance. Allow me to begin my rebuttals with the first speaker on site government. He came up and he talked about how continuing lectures, today's debate, they set up this in the lectures and pre-clinical students, and this will not affect PBL and also practical sessions, I believe. I think that is what he said. That first of all, what side government today is doing is that they're narrowing the scope of debate, which is, I believe, unfair for us inside opposition. So we're widening the scope of the debate today. And then he came and he talked about online classes started due to COVID, and till now there are online classes. And then he talked about how it is flexible under the key point of flexibility. He talked about how we can choose the environment. We can listen to podcasts while having classes online. Let me ask you something on side government. Can future doctors listen to podcasts? What we are promoting when we allow online classes is that we are promoting things like procrastination, laziness, tardiness, and etc. All of these are not qualities that we want in future doctors. These are not going to help us produce competent doctors. Before I continue, yes, go ahead. All right, I believe there's none. Okay, go ahead. Hurry up, please.
Hello. So mentioned by the third speaker, basically yes. You are not mentioning. We are not debating on the same topic as you are not discussing in the parameters highlighted by the government. So
all right. Thank you for the POI. Allow me to continue my rebuttals. So if you're talking, first off, if you're talking about having online classes on campuses, what's stopping them from having physical classes in the first place? If what side government has failed to do today is prove to the members of the floor how online classes will benefit students, medical students, future doctors in the long run as well. They're talking about flexibility in the short run. What about in the long run? How will this produce competent doctors? There's simply talking about flexibility, accessibility. They're not proving to us at the end of the day why this is better than physical classes, why this is better than face-to-face classes, by simply talking about flexibility and such. Allow me to further elaborate on that in my rebuttals. He came up and he also talked about, so they don't have to transport and such. Or why would that be a problem if in this case you're talking about them having online lectures in the campus, within face-to-face lectures also be within the campus itself? I don't understand why would this be a problem. And then they fail to, at the end of the day, what the government has failed to do is they fail to answer the question, how will this help doctors in the long run? They're simply talking about flexibility of lecturers and students. And I've answered that with what are some of the qualities that we do not want in future doctors. And then the Deputy Prime Minister came up and she came up with rebuttal saying that hybrid is better than full online classes. Online classes should be done for mass lecture. And then she said that we came and talk about inflexibility, which is completely untrue, ladies and gentlemen. What we are trying to say is that when we're giving them too much flexibility, this is when we're giving them too much leeway, this is what impedes the students' abilities to become future competent doctors. All right, and they're talking about how they can watch pre-recorded slides, pre-recorded videos and such. This does not. This further proves our point on how students can now take their time in learning. But this is not the case in real life situations, right? When we become doctors, we cannot take our time when we want to treat patients, to diagnose patients and such, right? We have to do things then and there. So this is why we are saying that at the end of the day, no matter how much benefit online classes bring to the general public or to medical students, what you're trying to say, we are trying to say that it will not outweigh the benefits of face-to-face classes, and that is why they should not be continued. What we should continue is with a better option, and I believe site government truly agrees with us on site opposition, but unfortunately they can't say so. And then the second speaker came up and talked about accessibility, knowledge without borders, can invite international speakers and such. Ladies and gentlemen, this does not abide by the motion today. Today we are simply talking about online classes. Yes, we can speakers to give speeches online and such, but this does not involve the online classes scope of debate today. What we are trying to say on site opposition is online forum, virtual forums are all still a possibility, but we are not saying that online classes should be the solution to replace face-to-face classes in order to produce future competent doctors. And then they talked about improving mixed understanding, but then the third speaker came up and talked about, yes, there are technical limitations. How does technical limitations improve misunderstanding between, like, say, nocturnal and slow learners? They're saying that is what we on site opposition is saying, but that is completely untrue, ladies and gentlemen. What we are trying to say is that this online classes will further highlight the economic gap between the fortunate and the less fortunate. At the end of the day, no matter how smart or how good of learners these less fortunate people are, they will still be at a disadvantage as compared to the more fortunate people who can afford better internet connections, right? And then they talked about how we can maintain engagement in online lectures via quizzes and such. Ladies and gentlemen, yes, quizzes and such can be done online, but this does not. But at the end of the day, if they're talking about mass lectures, how does this maintain engagement when the lecturers can't even see us engaging within the lecture itself? How does this promote engagement within online lectures? And they talk about using resources can help them perform better research and such. This is not the context of today's debate. Yes, when we have face-to-face classes, what is stopping us from doing research outside of our scheduled lessons, right? I don't understand what side government is trying to say in today's debate. And then before I conclude my speech, allow me to summarize or reaffirm our stance on side opposition. Today we have brought up three main arguments. We talked about social isolation. Social isolation in cases where if students are at home, or regardless where they are, since they are flexible, they can be anywhere they want to. This promotes social isolation, so it's hard for them to engage with other students and engage with lecturers. And then we talked about spoon-feeding dependency, whereby when we promote online classes, what students can do when they, at the end of the day, is simply Google everything instead of actually promoting critical thinking, which is being done in face-to-face classes, right? And then we also talked about we talked about environment, we talked about spoon-feeding dependency, and we also talked about technical limitations. How technical limitations is the main problem with online classes, and how this disrupts engagement and communication between not just students and between students, but also between lecturers and students. And that is why today, ladies and gentlemen, we understood the debate better, and that is why I believe we have won today's debate. With that, I've never been prouder to oppose. With that, I would like to rest my case. Thank you.
Thank you, the third speaker of the opposition team. As the debate is reaching its end of substantive speeches, this House will adjourn 2 minutes for the first or the second speaker from both teams to prepare their reply speech. Thank you, timekeeper. I call the House to order once again. Members of the floor, this debate will resume with the reply speeches. Now, I would like to call the first or the second speaker from the opposition team to present your reply speech.
Hello, am I audible? Okay. Before we end this debate, in this reply speech, I will provide a comparative analysis of the strengths and weaknesses of the case of both sides. I will also prove to you why our side has won today's debate. In their unrealistic world, they believe that online classes should be continued. However, living in today's reality, that is not a permanent solution because in the long run, physical classes will give us the security we need in ensuring students are well prepared to face critical life situations and important decision making. Today, the scope given by the government is too narrow, and it wouldn't make sense for students to go to campus just for online classes for lectures. Today, we already enlightened the floor by widening the scope of this debate, and we came out and talked about online classes in general. But this point is not seen by the side government. Our side has provided valid arguments with our key point, environment, spoon feeding dependency, technical limitation as to why online classes cannot be continued. So for environment, on how the online classes will affect the student mental and physical health, and at the end of the day, increasing the risk of incompetence doctor due to poor academic achievement if they were to do online classes at home. At the end of the day, if we are only doing online classes in our dorm room or anywhere in the campus, isn't it better to just do face-to-face lecture since the lecturer is already present? Second, spoon-feeding dependency. Like I just said, online classes give way too many privileges to students to take their studies lightly and not thinking further into the future. And too many independency without any guide from the lecturers still wouldn't be able to improve themselves from being to being a competent doctor. And spoon-feeding dependency does not mean that the student will open the Padlet that the doctors or the lecturers have made, because that will require them to actually do it. And do you actually believe that in the 230 or 250 students in our medical program, they would actually open the Padlet? I would say that 80 people would engage in those Padlet or quizzes, and others would simply just look, will put it aside. And lastly is technical limitation. This limits to the potential of a student to perform well in medical school due to having to evaluate their fortunes in order to achieve good results. And I did hear that the third speaker actually agree with this statement. So I would just leave it at that. Today, the government team gave a narrow, hence, they did not fulfill to prove us that online classes will provide benefit not just in the short run, but also in the long run. We have talked about this, and that is why we have won the debate.
Thank you, the second speaker of the opposition team, for summing up the case. I shall now call upon the representative for the government team to give their reply speech, as well as rounding up the cases for the government side.
Good job. Good job.
Woohoo! Wait,
Assalamualaikum, everyone. Am I audible? Assalamualaikum, everyone. Am I audible? Hello. Am I audible? Oh, okay. All right. So, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh to all the judges and also the members of the floor. Now, I would like to wrap up in a nicely give about what has the opposition speak about our points, and I would like to rebut about what they don't understand so far. So, to start off with our cherry pie, they are trying to question our own parameters set by our own team. But if you understand the mechanism of debate itself, you have to follow the parameters set by our own government. So if you are trying to debating on our own parameters on this particular occasion, it means that this is already a two-way debate. But it's okay. I would like to re-emphasize that the opposition did not again understand our parameters, as we are actually giving a mechanism that this should be a hybrid system for medical students to learn. So what I mean is that the mass lectures will be conducted online, while the tutorials and practical sessions will be conducted offline. So if they are just re-emphasizing about the fact that students will not understand, or students will not have any flexibility, or students will not have any discipline, it's okay. Let me just give you a practical session on the next day. All the students will definitely open the lectures. Will have no choice but to open the lectures, and will sleep late just to give good knowledge, or maybe to learn something on their practical on the next day. And I know that you know, and I know that you have experienced that before when you were in campus. So the opposition team, I've noticed that they are always emphasizing about the flexibility from our mechanism is a bad influence to our students. And I believe in reality, it actually depends on the students themselves. If you implement the mechanism from the government, it actually opens doors to all the types of students that the second speaker of the government has mentioned, which is the nocturnal students and also the slow speaker students. So this, in a way, if we give pre-recorded lectures to the nocturnal and slow learners, they can actually repeat the lectures in their own pace, so they can learn optimally in their own levels, and we can actually generate doctors with high amount of knowledge and high amount of flexibility in the future. And last but not least, I would like to re-emphasize the points from the government is that this can actually maintain engagement. I can see that the opposition has been stressing about the engagement from students to lecturers and lecturers to students, but actually in reality, they forgot to realize that we are actually having physical classes for practical and tutorial sessions. So if they think that the online lectures are going to make them feel bored, don't worry. The lectures are going to be ready for the next day, wearing the best clothes and giving the best questions to trigger students to think on the spot, so that they will think, oh no, I don't think this is going to be just a passive learning in medical school. So that's all for me. And to wrap up with a nicely gifted quote, be clear about your goal, but be flexible about the process to achieving it. By Brian Tracy, a billionaire that everyone knows. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you for all debaters. Now we will give some time for our adjudicators to carefully give marks and discuss who is the winner of today's debate, as well as deciding the best speaker. The juries will now enter the breakout room to have a moment among themselves. Please be patient for our juries as our committee will sign the breakout room. For everyone's information, the jury will judge the debate based only the points given by the speakers and not their personal opinions of the motion given. Hi, just a quick update for all the debaters, members of the floor. As of now, the juries are having their discussion, so please be patient as you are waiting because I believe this debate has been heated for them to discuss more, so please give them some time. Thank you. Hi, Jessica. Hi, just a quick checkup. Can you guys hear me? All right, nice. Is every jury are here with us?
Here.
All right. Aiza and Hanania, are you guys with here? You guys here?
Yes, I'm here.
All right.
Aiza's here.
Perfect.
Yeah. Here as well.
So welcome welcome all of you guys to the end of our debate. As always, it's not a fruitful debate without the comments of every experienced juries. So before we end, I would like to call upon the first jury, which is Mr. Muhammad Shafiq bin Abdul Razak, to give his comment about the debate that had happened.
All right. Can everybody hear me? Before I begin, I have a tendency to talk too long, so may I know how much time do I have for feedback? I'm assuming 5 minutes. Is 5 minutes okay, or like a few minutes?
All right, that should be fine.
5 minutes. 5 minutes is fine.
All right.
Oh, okay, cool. I'll time myself. 5 minutes. All right. All right, so this is going to be a general comment to both teams. So if it applies to you, take it with a grain of salt. Although I need you guys to be reminded that this is for development purposes. So whatever I'm going to say is to develop you. If I sound a bit harsh, I'm very sorry about this, but it's mostly for development purposes and like overall to improve quality of debate should you guys ever choose to dive deeper into the debating scene in the future. So let's start with the first thing about the debate itself. Generally, I think the debate lacked a few things. So number one, I think what the debate lacks specifically is relation towards the emotion itself. So if you guys read the motion specifically, there's a part, sorry about that. There's a part in the motion that explains about medical curriculum. So I understand you guys were throwing examples about PBL, which I still don't know what it is. I'm assuming it's project-based learning or maybe it's practical-based learning. I'm not really sure. But yeah, I think there were a lot of examples being thrown around about how physical classes are probably going to be more important or like online classes are probably going to be more important. But what I needed to hear most when it comes to debating motion specifically is that every motion has a specific wording that is going to be the topic that is going to be discussed about. That means for each and every one of the debaters, I think what you need to do more is to include more references towards medical, the medical curriculum part of the debate, which is like, for instance, sorry, this is probably a stereotype because I have medic friends, but like maybe it's about the lectures that you guys have, like the amount of lectures when it comes to the anatomy of a human being, like about like different parts of the body and how it works, different diseases and how it works. I think there's gonna be like an extemporaneous amount of information that needs to be divulged. So that means there needs to be some form of explanation to explain to me why is it that when it comes to lecture sessions, they are probably going to take a lot of time, means that it's easier to be done online versus being done physical and vice versa. Because I think that's one thing that was missed out from the debate, which is the medical part of the debate. So that's first thing lah, which is when it comes to strategy or like engagement in the debate. When it comes to the topic itself. Second, I think when it comes to teams trying to prove arguments, I understand throwing out examples is important. I understand clearly why examples needs to be thrown out. It makes you sound more credible. It makes you sound more smarter. It's fine. But I think what teams fail to do is that when it comes to using examples specifically to win your arguments, what I mean by this is that when it comes to giving out examples, right? I think what needs to be done a lot more is that you use the examples to your advantage. For instance, if you're telling me about why Ivy Leagues are using online classes as a platform, right? So you would want to say 23% of individuals who are, sorry, not like when it comes to Ivy Leagues using online classes, the reason why this is important is because Ivy Leagues have been known to produce well-achieving students, especially in the medical field. The reason why this example is specifically important is because it shows to you judges that if the Ivy Leagues can do it, and as a Malaysian institution or as UiTM itself, we've been trying to focus more on producing more well-managed students, trying to copy top universities and see what we can gain from copying top universities. And that means this one specific example that I have when it comes to Ivy Leagues using online classes is that example that can show to you that UiTM can copy this mechanism and at the end of the day achieve the same result as Ivy League. So that's probably one of the ways you want to do it, lah. So like have an example and then use it to specifically win your argument. So when you have an argument, tell me why is it that it's important for the argument to be existing there. I think aside from that, everything else is fine. I think manner is something that you guys can improve on because I understand like debating specifically is a very nerve-wracking situation. So not everyone is used to it. So I think it's fine. I think manner still can be improved. It's just I feel like analysis when it comes to trying to prove to me why is it that you are able to achieve a certain benefit, it's something that you need to work on as well. So this looks like when it comes to you explaining to me about the benefit, right? So you have to show to me the thought process or like a process on how you are able to achieve that benefit specifically. Things like you are able to get benefit A. So what's the storyline? How are you able to achieve that benefit specifically? So I think that's what missing from each and every one's of you guys in your argument. So if you guys have that particular argument, try to show to me how the roadmap looks like when it comes to trying to achieve that specific benefit. Explain to me why is it that if you do this, you'll achieve this. When you achieve this, you'll achieve that. And then at the end of the day, you'll get to the outcome of your benefit. So that's 5 minutes. I think that's mostly all the things that are important to be covered. The rest, I think my panelists will also be covering on that because I think they also have very good things to say about the debate itself. So that's all from me. Thanks, guys. Good debate. Congratulations on making it to the finals, by the way.
Thank you so much, Mr. Shafiq, on the insight. So continuing the feedback process, I would like to call Ms. Aiza Atira Binti Daud to give your 2 cents about the debate.
All right. Hi, guys. Am I audible?
Crystal.
All right, cool. I'm just gonna keep this short and sweet since like Shafi has already covered what we already wanted to say. But above all, I think that this debate is like an average debate. I think you guys did a very great job in like, you know, having some kind of engagements towards each other. I see a lot of like POIs given and POIs taken, POIs answered, and I think this is what makes the good and healthy debates are. And I think that congratulations for you guys too for like I think that all of the contents there are absolutely good, but in terms of your analysis, your examples for some instance of the contents and for your arguments, it kind of needs a lot of work, right? I think that the argument is good, but the content is a lot of work. Like for instance, you need to give a like extension, like just what Shafiq says, like in order to have like this kind of benefits being achieved, you need to show us a roadmap into that, right? But unfortunately, like both of you guys didn't really like clearly stated to us how to achieve that benefits. But instead, you just give like kind of like a one-liner sentence and that's it. I think that you guys can work a lot on that, and I think there is not so much things to say lah. It's just like yeah, manners point I think you guys can work on, but I think this is a very good very good debate in terms of the medical school curriculum, right? I think that the impacts here are not tangible enough towards this medical school students, because as you can see, as a medical students, right, you need like some kind of like, for some example, a hands practical for some instance. But I don't really see or heard anything on behalf of that, right? Because as you guys know, medical school are basically what are the benefits if you guys learn theoretically, or what are the benefits of not learning it theoretically, and like giving it giving the fact that you guys just what are the benefits of having this online and having this offline, right? It's just like that kind of impact just doesn't really reaches out to me, and it's same goes to other jurists as well. But nevertheless, good job for reaching the finals. And I just hope that on the next debate, you can improve yourself. So yeah, congratulations.
Thank you, Ms. Aiza, for the insight just now. So completing the list, I shall call upon the third jury, which is Ms. Siti Hanania binti Abdul, to give your point of view about the debate.
All right, just making sure if I'm audible and not lagging.
No?
All right. So before I start with my feedback, I would like to say congratulations to both teams for getting into the final. You guys did a really good job. And in my feedback, there's gonna be basically three things: comparative for both sides, clashes, and what both sides could do better. In terms of in case you guys go to any other tournament after this that you guys can improve on. But before that, I do think that like generally I feel like in terms of engagement this round is really good in terms of asking POI, accepting POI, so that's really proactive and that gives a really good impression on judges because judges are able to know that you have ideas and you are actually attentive to the debate in itself. So the engagement in this round is really good. So that's on just the general comment. So let's move to the comparative one, both sides. So firstly, let's go to government's case, right? So for government's case, I do feel like you're being too strategic to the point that you're not strategic. And I'm going to explain this because in debating, there's the term meta debating, i.e., a strategy that you use to build your case. So what you're doing just now in your case is basically you're trying to have best of both worlds, i.e., you want to have A and you want to have B. So in this case, A is physical class and B is online classes. So when you do that, it's really harmful for you because if judges believe your case at instance A, what it means that your benefits that will materialize under B wouldn't exist. But if judges were to take your world under B, then your materials under A couldn't be accepted because it goes against each other. So I'm just going to explain this because I see some confused face. Okay, so for example, right, you talk about how one of your benefits is there's gonna be less cost to go to classes because now there's no physical classes. But at the same time, there's an inconsistency because you also say that student has to go to college, has to be in campus, and has to attend physical classes. So I'm left really confused because I was just left wondering if that's the case, then it just means the same. Like it just means that they also have to basically buy tickets and all to go to campuses and all that, right? So these benefits cannot materialize. So that's what happened when you try to have best of both worlds. So in the future, when you go like debating in other tournaments, try to be hardline rather than softline. Try to hold on to something and defend it till like forever, like defend that to the very end of your speech. And the way you can do this is when you're prepping together, make sure that everyone knows the direction of the case, like what are we defending exactly, what do we want, what are we okay with, what are we not okay with. Because in a lot of debates, like people lost the round because there's a lot of inconsistency, because inconsistency are very clear to see. Like inconsistency are the thing that judges, when judges hear that, it's a huge sign that okay, this part cannot stand, and this part, when weighing with this part, it also doesn't stand out. So that's for government side. Other than that, for government, I do think that there's a lot of materials that need more analysis in order for it to be more convincing, because those ideas are good, like about the pre-recorded lectures, about how for students who have internet problems can just like download the video at their own preference. That's all like really good, but it's not really analyzed to the point that I'm able to understand why is it more important than the harm coming from opposition, because government give a very contentious harm about how there's going to be like a gap, and I'm assuming they're talking about socioeconomic gap, i.e. students who can have good devices would be able to advance, like learn more, but people who are less fortunate are left behind, and this bad for like the firstly the education, and secondly on like doctors healthcare in the future to begin with. Yeah, so work on more analysis, work on trying to be more convincing and persuasive, because that would be very appreciated. And if you're able to kind of discover how to do that, then you're able to convince judges and just win more tournaments by being persuasive, right? So next to for a position, I do think that for a position you did a good job, but there's a lacking in terms of what you're supporting, because I was able to understand that you're giving harms on online classes, but I would appreciate it if you then take it a step further in explaining why your site is better. But in this case, you didn't actually do that. I mean, I did hear some analysis on like, it's about the future of healthcare, but it's still not clear on like how your side is going to be better, how your world is going to be better. But I do still think generally you did a very good job in like explaining why government cannot win. Like you talk about like the most important thing that all of us like Shafiq, me and Tira credited is about the gap thing, like how people will be left behind and some people will be able to catch up and all that, because that the importance of that argument really outweighed every benefits that governments want to talk about. So that is what everyone can do better, like try to look at arguments and try to think of the weightage of that argument, like is this important, is this the most important? So if you know that that is the most important thing, then you put it as the first argument, the most prioritized one, right? And also in terms of more nuances, I think this would go for both teams. Like Shafiq said, the wording give a nuance of medical school. So I was actually expecting to hear things like, medical students are expected to do like surgery in the future, right? So how are you able to know and to learn that via online classes? Like you need to have a hands-on experience. So this goes back to like why, like trying to explain why opposition's world would be better. Like maybe try to have some counter mechanization. Like does your world have more or like fully physical classes and all that? So I think judges would appreciate that better. So I think clashes, there's just basically two things in terms of betterment of education and accessibility, but I'm just going to make it short since it's already 7 minutes. So for betterment of education, again, a government has inconsistency, i.e. they talk about how students can watch the lectures at their own preference. So I don't really understand how this exactly ensure engagement. And in terms of but I don't think opposition did a good job in trying to topple down this argument as well. So this clash just becomes a clash that nobody kind of break the deadlock. So that's the first clash. The second is on accessibility. So opposition wins this clash just because opposition is more logical in terms of trying to be realistic with the nuances or the context that this world actually has, i.e. there are people who are poor, there are people who cannot afford having laptops, there are people who cannot afford having good internet. And there's also like in terms of the well-being of the student, right? We should talk about how there's going to be isolation, mental health and all that, because when like assuming government would take this case into like the deepest intensity, then like fully online, then there's going to be isolation harm, like people will have like, I don't know, feeling lonely and all that. And also I think the engagement coming from Gov is just one-liner. It's just like, they're going to be at campus. So I feel like if you were to just spend more time in explaining how mental health is not an important contentious in this debate, then this clash could either not won by opposition or maybe just won by government. But government didn't really engage properly with this. It was just one-liner, so I had to credit this clash being won by opposition. What both sides could do better, lastly, what both sides could do better is basically firstly on the nuances. I think Shafiq and me already mentioned about the nuances, like try to explain more what medical students actually learn and why is it better under your side of the house. And secondly, maybe in terms of analysis, in terms of your proving mechanization, try to spend more time in like providing evidence, providing case studies, providing examples, and also concluding your argument. Because in a lot of ways, the arguments are just like, we get this, and then moving on.
So like I wasn't able to like maybe understand why is it important, why is it feasible, why is it something that's better than other side, you know. And then thirdly, maybe in terms of rebuttals, when you do rebuttals, always do comparative. So comparative just means that okay, so one liner rebuttal will look like you say this is wrong. So that's one liner rebuttal. But when you do a comparative rebuttal, it will be something like this. Okay, you said A. A is untrue because number one, number two, number three. Our side is better because number one, number two, number three. So comparative is always about um comparing why was better. Like when you do comparative, you always try to explain why your side's better. So yeah, I believe that's already 10 minutes. I'm really sorry for a really long feedback. I just hope that all of the feedbacks coming from all three judges will really help you guys, because all of you here have very much potential, like a lot of potentials that you can just harness through. I wish you good luck in future tournaments and all that. Yeah, that's all.
Thank you, Ms. Hanania, for summing up the feedback coming from all the three judges. And as always, the anticipation are building up as to who is the winner and the best speaker. But worry not, the results are going to be announced in the later closing ceremony by other speakers. So with that, I'll thank you all the three judges for the comments, and it's been an honor to moderate all of you guys. I wish you guys all the best, and I'll pass this job to Putrino Amira Mazida for the next piece. Thank you very much, and have a great night.
Thank you, Dana Azize. Just a quick question. Am I audible to you guys? Yes, okay. So, yeah, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh, and a very good evening to all of you, the VIP, juries, our amazing participants in this MS Teams, and to our viewers on YouTube Live. Hi. We meet again in this blessed evening for the final round of this year's Interbatch Debate 2022. I am Putrina Amira Mazida binti Muhammad Ali Firstani, and on behalf of the organizing committee, we are pleased to welcome you to our ending ceremony of 6th Interbatch Debate Championship 2022. Announcing the presence of Deputy Dean of Academic, Professor Dr. Efat Omar, our VIP, our invited juries from UT Mara Debating Society, Mr. Muhammad Shafiq bin Abdul Razak, Ms. Aizah Hatirah binti Daud, and Ms. Hanania Jalila, and our advisor, Dr. Mark Tan Kepmin. Ladies and gentlemen, now we will be commencing the ending ceremony with singing the national anthem, followed by Wawasan Setia Warga UITM. Sorry, Erkin, we cannot hear the Negaraku song. Sorry, still cannot hear it. Sorry, Erkin, still cannot hear it. I'm so sorry. Erkin, can you please open your mic?
I've already turned on the audio. Is it not still audible?
Yes, it's not audible.
Okay, wait, I'll try again.
Okay, it's now audible. You can
Do I repeat from the start? I repeat from the start.
yeah. Thank you.
Bersatu kita warga UiTM, kita bangsa perkasa, taat dan setia untuk negara, penuh semangat wajar. Kita jangan mudah terlupa pengorbanan perjuangan anak bangsa. Kita jangan mudah terleka kemajuan keamanan yang ada. Kita berterima kasih pada pemimpin-pemimpin negara. Kita rasa penuh bersyukur kerahmatan kemuliaan darinya. Kamilah pendukung pewaris bangsa. Kamilah penalaan bangsa Malaysia. Kamilah warga berwawasan untuk negaraku.
Thank you. Now, I would like to call upon Daniel Azizi to recite the dua for a blessed and prosperous evening.
Al-Fatiha. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wasallam. Allahumma innaka la khalaqul azim kasami'un alim innaka ghafurur rahim innaka rabbul azim innaka al-qadir. Ya Allah, Kaulah yang mempunyai Kaulah yang berhak menerima segala. Kaulah yang berhak menerima segala kesyukuran. Kaulah yang memiliki segala tangan engkau segala kebaikan. Dan engkaulah kembali sekali. Allahumma ya karim ya bila rahmat dan rahimmu atas majlis Adjudication yang diadakan pada hari ini. Ya dari awal hingga akhirnya. Ya fa'alu lima yurid. Kami juga berlindungan daripada-Mu ya Allah. Segala perkara yang boleh mencelakan majlis dan daripada segala perkara yang melalaikan kami. Taat kepada-Mu juga kami berserah segala urusan. ربنا عليك توكلنا وإليك الأنبنا وإليك المصير. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة آخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. صلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. رب العالمين.
Thank you, Daniel Azizi, for leading the prayer just now. Since we have witnessed such gratifying debate between Saturn and Jupiter, waiting for the winner, announcement must be tough for the teams. So we shall not hesitate anymore. Without any hesitations, let us welcome our Deputy Dean of Academic, Professor Dr. Efat Omar, to give his speech.
Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Can you hear me? Am I audible? Yes, okay. I prepared a closing speech. I don't think I thought I'm giving a closing speech, but I think perhaps you want to announce the winner first. Mira?
Yes, Doctor, sorry.
Sorry, you want to announce the winner first, right? Rather than I prepared a closing ceremony speech. It's like a real closing speech. But I think that would come after your announcement of winners.
Really? Give me a moment, Professor. Okay, Doctor, we will announce the winner first. Sorry, Doctor. Okay. Sorry. Okay, unfortunately, unfortunately, Dr. Rosnida, our master advisor, sends her apologies for not being able to make it tonight and sends her very best wishes to all the organizing committee and participants of this year's Interbatch debate. Honorable guests, ladies and gentlemen, for your information, this year's Interbatch debate is based on the theme of Interstellar. And throughout the 2 weeks of the Interbatch Debate Championship, we saw 4 amazing teams competing with each other to become the winning team of this year's Interbatch Debate. All of their blood, sweat, energies were not wasted as they all have put their 100% effort into their speakers' role and used teamwork to defend their stand on the motion given. Give a huge applause to them. So, as a recap throughout these 2 weeks, let us watch a video of the previous debate rounds of every team made by our multi-astronauts.
I officially opened the Interbatch Debate Competition 2022. Thank you.
Can you, before that, can you explain to me what is flexible working hours? What is your mechanism on this?
See, we're talking about efficiency. Life is too short for you to become a student all the time, you know? Okay.
However, in order to produce competent house officer with reduced burnouts and complaints while reducing working hours isn't the only solution.
Why lengthen this to 6 and 7 years? Outside opposition wholeheartedly agrees. Why should we introduce these mechanisms that you so proudly propose to us for the sake of something that may not be guaranteed?
If we reduce the amount of, if we reduce the amount of,
For the sake of our beloved country, sorry, not accepting. Members of the floor.
So what we should be doing is trying to focus on maximizing their learning, focus to
DOI.
no. I've taken enough POIs for today.
During this argument, ladies and gentlemen, sorry, we bring this.
Wear masks, right, to reduce COVID-19 transmission. Why are there ever vaccines in the first place? If they're wearing masks will solve the problem, then
who are we to question?
POI.
Yes, sorry.
So I'm very much agreeing that I know that he's agreeing with us. That is why he's wearing informal attire for a formal situation. So I know that he will be very much happy. Even he is laughing at me.
So that is actually what the
Why?
other that the okay, yeah.
Professional setting, yes. Wear good clothes. Wear tidy clothes. Wear your scrubs. Wear everything that is that
His look was very, very charismatic, but unfortunately, his points, his arguments weren't as charismatic as his looks.
I forgot the name of the doctor, but sorry, no. They said that
Today, I, Shazunarina, as the first speaker, I will be talking to you about why medical program in private universities is better than public universities.
As a clarification, just now is the increment of 15 as in, 15 or 50, as in 50.
50. Alright, thank you.
sorry, no. And
I want to stop the nonsense given by side opposition side with my first point, which is to ensure the future of health equality in Malaysia. Yes. Quick, please, quick.
Stated by the second speaker of the opposition team.
The side opposition, I don't understand what the side opposition is thinking right now, but I'm going to go to the second point, which is prioritizing Malaysians. Okay, so
All of us here agree that, at least I agree to myself.
So are you trying to support us? The government? Because we are discussing about public.
And this is honestly crazy to us. The government side. Which is this house believes those with medical health disorder should not be accepted into medical school.
We think that how are you going to screen each and every candidate? Because it is not easy. It is not an easy process to be diagnosed. It is not a definitive process. Plus, a psychiatric visit is not as cheap as you think it is.
We have 5 years. This is the preparation time. If by the end of 5 years they are not capable, they are not fit to become a doctor, the opposition team, we agree that they should not be a doctor, like my first speaker already stated.
What an amazing journey we have experienced together, right? So now we proceed to the time we are waiting for, which is the announcement of the team winners. Coming in the third place with a prize of 100 ringgit goes to team Mars. Congratulations to Mars team. Okay, now the suspense heightens. Who will be the winner of the 6th Interbatch Debate Championship 2022? The first place with prize 200 ringgit goes to the team Jupiter. The second place with prize 150 ringgit automatically goes to the team Saturn. Okay. I mean, I'll try to make it more exciting. Sorry. Saturn. Okay. Congratulations to Team Jupiter and Saturn. Last but not least, the juries had also picked the best speaker of the 6th Interbatch Debate Championship 2022 with prize 100 ringgit goes to Nur Amalina Sabrina from Team Jupiter. Congratulations to Nur Amalina. Let's not forget our other team. I would like to congratulate to the Uranus team at the 4th place in the championship. Please give a huge applause to them too. All right, so without any hesitation, let us welcome our Deputy Dean of Academic, Professor Dr. Efat Omar, to give her closing speech.
Okay. Respected Chairperson, Saudari Putri Nur Amira Mazida, and before that, Saudara Daniel Azizi, Honorable juries, Mr. Muhammad Shafiq Abdul Razak, Cik Aizah Atira Daud, Cik Siti Hanaina Abdul Jalil, Dr. Mark Tan and Dr. Rosnida, our distinguished program advisor, Saudara Akil Hanif, the esteemed chair of the organizing committee, respected members of the organizing committee, my distinguished colleagues, lecturers of the faculty, para pelajar dan hadirin yang dikasihi sekalian. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh dan salam sejahtera. It is my delightful task tonight to close this wonderful event. Congratulations to all the teams who has participated in this tournament. To me, all of you are winners. Like Putri said just now, you have obtained all the benefits of this event, gaining confidence and articulation of speech. From the montage just now, I see that all of you are very sharp in your speech, and some of you are even scary. For the teams competing tonight, you all speak amazingly well. I'm sure everyone's opinion, just like mine, oscillates between the two teams, which one has a better opinion throughout the debate just now. Heartiest congratulations to the champion of Interbatch Debate 2022, the team opposition or Jupiter. I'm very proud of your success and hope that you all continue to hone your skills, your talents for your future. Congratulations to Akil Hanif, Chair of the Organizing Committee, and all members of the Organizing Committee for a successful event. My huge thank you to all of you for your hard work, and I look forward to attend more events organized by all of you. Thank you to the esteemed juries. Your feedbacks are fantastic and very valuable for self-improvements of all of the participants, not only the contestants tonight, but also to all present, including myself. Thank you to the audience. Without you, this event would not be successful. And I hope you had all enjoyed yourself. And I hope that this event has allowed you to get to know each other and create camaraderie among yourselves. With that, I officially declare this event closed. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and a very good night. Have a great weekend ahead, all of you.
Thank you, Professor Dr. Efat Omar, for the wise and encouraging speech you have given to us. As a closer of this year's Interbatch Debate Championship 2022, let us sing UITM di Hatiku song together. Ladies and gentlemen, we have finally come to the end of our annual Interbatch Debate Championship. It had been a great day and a wonderful evening with all of you in these MS teams and also to those who are watching now live on YouTube. Thank you to our VIP, Professor Dr. Ifat Omar, our invited juries, Mr. Muhammad Shafiq bin Abdul Razak, Ms. Aitza Atirah bin Daud, and Ms. Hanania Jalila for spending their precious time with us, and also to our beloved advisor, Dr. Mark Tan Kiak Min, for helping and advising us countlessly to make this program a success. Thank you all for your presence and congratulations to all teams. Without them, this program will not become fruitful. I apologize for any shortcomings on my behalf and all of the organizing committee. I would like to invite all to open their cameras for a last photography session before we end our amazing event tonight. I come. Okay, everyone can open their camera now. Okay, I'll come. All right, 1, 2, 3. Okay, other one, another one, another one. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you. Have a great night and stay safe, everyone. Also, attention to all the AJKs, please stay for the post-mortem meeting after this. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.